Am back. I know it has been a while since I have been here and commentating, but we all know that I am here to cover injustices, I guess would be how I would like to phrase it. So, today, I bring you the story of Laura Michelle Owens. Been following the story for a tittle bit. Truthfully, about several months now. And the reason that I haven't brought it to you yet is just because your girl has been so damn busy. But also, I really thought it was going to calm down. Well, it hasn't. Not at all. So, instead, it has just ramped up, ratcheted up. And after seeing this latest tomfoolery, I had to bring it to my channel to speak. I have some problems with the current situation surrounding this person. A lot of people are very afraid of her because she's threatening legal action when people cover things that she publicly does. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. So, I am here because I stand on truth and speaking, and I believe sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. And, I am very supportive of women and women's rights, but there are a few who always try to undermine the real fight that women have and that we've been fighting for. So, I would like to cover this video that was recently posted about Laura Owens, by Laura Owens. Laura Owens posted this video on a public Facebook page. Therefore, this is covered underneath the Copyright Act because this is publicly shared information. She named herself. She was sharing it for it to reach a public audience, and it did. Her post did what it was intended to do, which was get people in the public to see it, which is how I saw it. And thus, because of the Copyright Act that YouTube operates on, I am allowed to react to this under that legal protection because I am adding commentary to it and transforming it. Therefore, I expect I will not receive any copyright claims because they would be illegally made. And I'm covering this and I'm using my own intellectual property to provide feedback and commentary. Thank you for noticing that. Now shall we?
My name is Laura Owens, and I know that before I even started this video, people on Reddit, just by virtue of the fact that I'm speaking up for myself, have started threads about me where they're critiquing my looks, where I'm...
Now, Laura is saying that Reddit has been critiquing her looks. I will be honest, I don't spend an extensive amount of time on Reddit. It's one of those things where when you search when you search something on Google, it is one of the top results that kind of come up, and Reddit has kind of become like a substitute Google to an extent because Google is so bought and paid for that this is actually a way to get kind of reliable answers from a community. So that is usually how I come across Reddit. Not once have I seen Reddit users saying things about her looks. The only thing I have seen is the call out for what she looks like in unedited pictures and what she looks like in her edited face-tuned to the gods photos. Okay? That's the only thing I've ever seen. I'm just gonna be real with you. And I think that's something to take note because this woman is trying to manipulate an audience. She feels that she's losing the grip of control over the narrative of the story. Because why? She flew too close to the sun. She's having to face some kind of accountability for what she has done and the shit she has stirred. Let's be real. So she's trying to go with this route that I'm being so bullied and abused, but she's really leaving out a lot of contextual information, and that is on purpose. That is on purpose. And that is my opinion. And I can have this opinion because of the First Amendment in the United States of America. Thank God for that. And the reality is people can say unflattering things about you. That's okay. As long as they're not threatening you. And I would never do that. Anybody who's listening to this, watching this, I doubt anybody is listening to or watching this. But if you are, hello, hi, how are you? I appreciate you. But please do not send any hate this woman's way. We're just here to speak about it on this channel. Just have a discussion. Don't go crazy about it. Don't get crazy about it. We're just here to talk about it. Okay? Never go real life. That's weird. It's weird. But I have never seen anybody do that. This is her taking something mildly related to critiquing looks. Because like I said, it's not critiquing looks. It was people pointing out that she facetunes the fuck out of the photos that she posts. And taking that somewhere. She's trying to make it and bend it into something really awful. If there has been instances of that, I'm sorry, Laura, people shouldn't have been saying that stuff. You're not an awful looking girl. Do not get me wrong. But this is a weaponization of the reality as I am aware of it.
Becoming a meme. And content creators like Dave and Steve are happy because they have something to talk about on their podcasts and YouTube channels tomorrow.
Okay, who are Dave and Steve, you might ask? If you are organically... Sorry, I had to light a joint, y'all. That's why my name is Chubby Von Doobie. Sometimes the shit that I cover just makes me... I gotta smoke a little bit to handle it. You hear what I'm saying? But if you organically found this by like searching for the Clayton Echard paternity scandal or Laura Owens on YouTube, then you probably already know who these people are. But if you are one of my 10 whole ass subscribers, then maybe you're like, who the fuck are Steve and Dave? Dave is Dave Neal of the eponymous YouTube channel name, I think. And he has been the only person on YouTube with the cojones to cover this. Because everyone else will not find any strength to cover it. He, like, full transparency, I have only stumbled upon him because of this. But she is going to try, this is specifically a hit piece against Dave, but she's also throwing this guy named Steve, aka Reality Steve, under the bus. He is a podcaster and a long time spoiler of the Bachelor franchise, because the man that Laura Owens is accusing of impregnating her via a blowjob is Clayton Echard, former Bachelor contestant. I don't even follow the Bachelor franchise. So, how this got algorithmically recommended to me, I don't know. But guess what? Yeah, bitch is hooked. Because the algorithm gods know that crazy drama is very fascinating. Anyway, Dave has been covering it on his YouTube channel. I think he also has a podcast. But he mainly covers like pop news, like current events, that kind of shit, celebrity news, you know, like lighthearted things. He's not covering like the war in the Middle East, you know. I think he's a stand-up comedian, and Reality Steve, I think, is like he's a former industry professional, but he's made being a spoiler and having industry connections his job. Good for him. And they've covered this because she reached out to them to cover it. And they covered it because Laura Owens went to the press. That's how this got picked up on my algorithm, is I saw the press article. She went to the press to get that article done. So she's trying to make it out to be that they just picked up on this, and like are taking this private matter public. But the reality is Laura Owens made this public. And that's that, folks.
So they have all of that. And what I have is what I feel like no privacy anymore. No reputation. No name.
Y'all, can you get over this whiny little voice she's doing? I sure can't. Oh my God. Laura Owens has a history of being very histrionic in her actions. I am not diagnosing, because of course I wouldn't do that. But I'm just saying she's very expressive, over-expressive, you might say. Because she's trying to convince y'all of emotions, but she's losing all her privacy. Laura, what are you talking about? You ran to the Sun, which I will have a reference image to the article here, and eventually I'll update it in my show notes too, and Medium, where you gave yourself as, quote unquote, an anonymous woman. But let's set things straight here. You gave them a bunch of details about who you were, where you lived, what you're known for, that you host a podcast. And then you shared these things publicly by using a Dropbox link that had your name attached to it. Girl, please get a grip. This is all the bed you've made. You ran public with this. You ran public. No one else. And the reality is, as adults, we have to take responsibility for our actions. And crying, screaming, and throwing up, figuratively, is not going to get you out of it, girl. I think waking up and realizing, owning up to things sooner rather than later, these people are not your family and are not easily manipulated by your antics, that you will be better. And I say that with sincerity.
And this is by no means a cry for help. I'm not suicidal right now. I'm not at all. I just feel like it's important for me to speak out and say that this is how I'm feeling as a result of what they've done to me. And this is how it looks like if you've been cyberbullied, as I have, and mischaracterized for months.
So again, everything has happened poor widow Laura. Everything has happened to her. And she has done none of this herself. None of it. She hasn't went running to the press because she was trying to pin Clayton down for him to admit that the blowy she gave him somehow trickled down her throat and into her uterus as the first ever example. Or she just traveled with a turkey baster up her hoo-ha and quickly spit it out in the bathroom and then re-put it up inside her. But there's a flaw to that, because the temperature of the mouth and the acids in the mouth would destroy the sperm. So that wouldn't happen either. The thing with Laura is she always likes to be the victim. And if you look at her TED Talks, whether or not that happened, but her other cases, yes, she has done this multiple times, which she will get into shortly. Oh, you just wait. She has to make this all about how it's all against her, and she will refuse to take any responsibility, even if, say, she were being cyberbullied, which she's not, as far as I have seen. Although there may be a few crazy individuals who take it personally and reach out to her. All I have seen is discussion on the internet, which is normal and expected with something like this. For fuck's sake, People has covered the article. Come on now. Millions of people can be aware of this because of the public coverage it has gotten. But you see in emails, Laura literally threatened Clayton to go to the press. So why don't you take an ounce of responsibility for your role?
Since I became pregnant by the Bachelor, there were two men who I have restraining orders against who contacted that Bachelor, who contacted content creators, and they decided that it was free game to talk about my past. They said that I had done this before, and in saying that I had done this before, they meant that I had been pregnant before, which I have. I've been pregnant twice before, which is something that I really didn't want to come out because I thought people would judge me for it. And people have already, I know they have. And I did have 2 abortions in the past, but it was not their right to say that. Like, I wasn't ready for that to come out.
Wow, y'all, what the fuck was that? A cat screeching in heat? I don't know. I thought that's what it was too. That's what I heard, largely. But, okay, let's get into real tea, because in case you haven't known, so there is 2 other instances of Laura doing this before. She has been quote-unquote pregnant by people before. The last one was with a man called Greg Gillespie. Magically, less than a week after they had sex, her pregnancy test popped up after he told her he was no longer interested in seeing her. And she is still, to this day, dragging out a court case with him while his actual fiance is pregnant, mind you, over this supposedly also a twin pregnancy. Did I mention that? She's supposedly pregnant with Clayton's twins. So not only did it survive all of her digestive tract juices and her acidic stomach juices and her fucking colon intestines when it was going to impregnate her all the way to her uterus, apparently. She's also had 2 twins before, but also simultaneously she actually time traveled back in time and got a, this was in, I think, 2021 or something like that. And she actually got the ultrasound back in, I think, like 2015. They found this, Greg found also, I guess, that the ultrasound she sent to him was from a blog post long ago. And it was about a woman who was pregnant with twins, and one of them looked like it wasn't doing so well and it was dying. That's fucking sick. You took someone else's ultrasound and you claimed it for your own. Now she claims that Greg hacked her emails and made her send that to him, which, like, why? This man has spent, I think I've heard, well over $100,000 defending himself, and it's just this fuckery. Me, as a women's advocate, I am a feminist. I will say it with my chest until the day I die. These are the women that undermine our causes, and I have no problem calling it out. Because what really happened, she's refusing to touch on, is that she had the community support in the beginning until the story started falling the fuck apart. And that's the reality. That's the reality. She's not the victim here. Okay? And if she were, I would be the biggest advocate for her and I would be in her corner. And if for some reason she's able to provide all this information that she's right, I will be her most fiercest advocate. But here's the thing. It don't smell right. It's not, it doesn't pass my gut check. because of all these factors. The fact that she went and competed in a horse show, was completely flat stomached, then a few weeks later showed up in her court hearing case with a big fat belly on that she could conveniently move up and down. Now, I've never been pregnant, but I have friends who have been pregnant and who are pregnant, and they would love to be able to like lift their belly up and readjust it, because like it's so damn uncomfortable, especially when you get that big. But they can't, because that's not how pregnant bellies work. When you press into it at the bottom, you can, it might move up a little bit, but you're not going to move the whole belly. You just might, if you're displacing the baby or any fluid, it might go up a little bit, but it's soft. It's not this hard thing. Just bizarre. Not to mention, she was also chugging a Monster Energy drink in her last hearing, which, in addition to the horseback riding and then the movable belly, which is maybe new technology that only Laura Owens' body is able to do, that none of the other human bodies in existence have ever been able to do. Just like the first ever conception from swallowing a blowjob. Truly remarkable. I'm not harassing you, by the way, by saying this. I'm just making a joke of the situation, because that's how unrealistic it is. And it's not my fault that it's that unrealistic, sweetheart. This is what you have put out into the world. Okay? All these weird things just don't make sense. When you got the Monster Energy drink, the movable belly, the horses, da 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 da. It's not adding up. What I'm seeing is very different here.
Um, and I've been really, really harassed for it. Dave has made more than 50 videos and more like podcast content than I could possibly count, talking about me. He specializes in Bachelor content, but what he's talking about has nothing to do with The Bachelor. It has to do with me and my past. It's shaming me for it.
And the Oscar goes to
Laura Owens! Laura Owens. The Oscar goes to Laura Owens. What you're seeing here is a meltdown, a breakdown, a tantrum, a fit, whatever else you would say to represent a privileged woman who is upset that she's getting called out on her game and her bluff. Who is Laura? She is a rich girl. She says she has lived with her parents her whole entire life. She is 33 years old. She went to Penn State online, and her father is a famous radiocaster from the San Francisco area, and her mother is also a famous journalist. Laura is a podcaster of the Nobody Told Me podcast, hosted alongside her mother. So which, I mean, we can talk about Nepo Baby as well here, but she has money, she has game, she's used to getting what she's wanting, and she's used to scaring people legally, threatening them with the legal system, because she knows many people cannot afford to keep up with the bullshit legal fees. But she can. She does have wealthy family to back her, or that are lining her pockets, that enable her to waste our tax dollars and our judicial time on this tomfoolery.
And it's like, I feel like anything that like anything in my life that I was like embarrassed or ashamed of, like these 2 prior abortions have just been brought to light, and have been like just things that have helped him monetize the channel. I've been called every name in the book. Steve has called me a dumbass, fucking moron. He likes to say my full name when he refers to me. And Dave is, I don't even know where to begin with Dave. He said he would stop talking about me for 10,000. No, he wouldn't stop talking about me for $10,000, but then he would for $1 million.
So, she mentioned something about not being willing to stop talking about it for $10,000. This is completely, purely conjecture on my behalf. And I'm just curious. Does that mean that she tried paying him off? Because I know that he did say that he would stop talking about it for $1 million because, of course, duh. If someone offered me $1 million, I would probably be willing to be compromised too. But did she tell on herself there? Or that's my question. I'm just trying to understand how many people have been hurt by this woman because they were scared of her money and her antics and her tactics and her family, her powerful family with, money to spare and time. She apparently has a lot of time. I just have so many questions. But here she is tugging at people's heartstrings, trying to make it sound like she is the victim. But she is acting like this purely because she knows the charade is falling apart. And how do we know that? Because we know that Clayton is filing a proof of non-paternity, so she is going to have to show that he is not the father, and ultimately that she probably isn't pregnant at all. But she's claiming, and she's claiming, and she's claiming, and she has had 3 paternity tests that have all came back. One was mysteriously lost in the mail, but the other 2 came back with little to no fetal DNA, despite the fact that if you're pregnant with twins, you're going to actually have twice the amount of fetal DNA. Bizarre, huh? Anyway, shall we continue?
And he said that since he started to talk about me, that his monetization on his YouTube has gone up 4 times. He says this on his live Patreon, which I have recorded, and then he denies it later. I've begged him to stop talking about me. I've threatened him with defamation lawsuits. Nothing stops him. And he keeps teasing that he's going to talk about another event where it gets crazier, as he says. Because he found out about literally the worst thing that can happen to a person that happened to me in March of 2022. I really don't want to talk about this. But he said he's going to talk about it if I don't. Well, not if I don't, he's just gonna talk about it. He didn't say that, he's just going to talk about it. And it's better for me to get my side of this out. For me to tell the story, since that's the only control I have anymore over it, is me telling it before he does on his fucking monetized channel.
Okay, so this last bit of video is super interesting to me, and I think there's a few things that you need to cue in on in order to understand the psychology of Laura Owens. So, she mentions that on Dave's Patreon that she's recorded, which she is openly admitting to being a paying member of Dave's Patreon, just as a side note, that he says he's gone up in monetization 4 times. That doesn't make sense. You're either monetized or not monetized on a video, and your monetization depends on the performance of every video and the amount of advertisers that could put on it and what your payout is. So that doesn't make sense. She's just trying to demonize him. And she says, I've threatened to sue him for defamation, which she knows that she cannot win. And that is showing you her playbook, threatening. And then she does the big reveal where she says, this is the only way I can control. Now there, ladies and gents, is the key, in my opinion. This is a meltdown, a tantrum, a fit, a whatever the fuck you want to call it, about her being unable to control. She has let her interactions have changed. Sorry, having a little difficulty over here. That her actions have created all this around her, and it's spun out of control. She cannot contain it anymore. And the more she tries to do this, reverting back to her narrative, the more that people are digging their heels in and wanting to make sure that the truth stays there. That is why I am speaking out. That is why there is now a website that is documenting this. It's serious because she is so used to having her way and being able to throw money at something or harass someone through a lawsuit and get them to step down after things start to come out and, be full circle. But the reality is that this has got to stop. It really does. And it's like not just for the sake of Clayton, but also like, girl, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of this? Like, maybe she is pregnant. That hasn't been proven in any meaningful way. But it's not with Clayton's kids. And she is, this meltdown is because she knows that she has, the walls are closing in. She's running out of ways to continue faking this. I mean, she can't say that she's had another abortion or she's had a miscarriage because now there will be death certificates and stuff. And this is all a matter of public record. So it's just like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there's been pop stars accused of I'm pregnant with this baby. Wasn't there one with Nick Carter back in the day? And I think Justin Bieber had one too. She says that she is pregnant with the Bachelor, and it's was she hunting for him? We know that she's on dating apps actively, so it's just what's the end goal here? To me, it just reads as a woman who wanted to use a fake pregnancy as a way to tie down a man and get him to commit to her. As we can see, she had dating contracts drafted up for him, all this wild shit that is all documented. I'm not pulling this out of my ass. Maybe we can do a video after this one that really goes through the timeline now that it's documented on a website, if there's any interest shown in that. But it's trying to sink your claws into someone, but baby girl, that's not how this works. You can't force someone who doesn't want you, no matter what. And even if you did, do you really, what? You really would want to have someone around you because you're forcing them? That's what this is. It's a power trip. It's a fucking power trip. And it's sick. It's really sick. It's gotta fucking stop. This is unhealthy for everybody. And it's truly shocking. So that's all that I have to say for today. Really hoping to see how the motion for continuance plays out with Clayton, with him wanting to prove non-paternity, and really wishing the best for everyone in the situation. Laura, Dave, Clayton, Greg, wishing them all just the best outcome for every single one possible, because this is just unbelievable, truly.